Good morning, people kind. Welcome back to Fresh, Slick, and Mick, Windsor, and the world's finest modern millennial brodown. Coming live from the internet and your mama's breakfast nook, where I appreciate the coffee a lot, but the company even more. How the fuck y'all doing today?
Hot. So
It's
damn hot.
Dude, it's ridiculous, man.
Hot. I am sitting in a sweat box that is probably like a fraction of a degree cooler than it is outside.
That's
wow.
awful.
That sounds super enjoyable.
It's awful. I'm just glad you guys can't hear my fan going right now, because then I'd probably pass out during this.
Why don't you put the AC
Make
in,
it
bud?
entertaining.
Well, I was going to do it earlier today, but now it's kind of getting to that point where bugs can come out, and they like to come into my room when the window's open.
Do you not have a screen on your window?
Nope.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you should probably get one of those.
I probably should
help,
get one
man.
of those. Well, but if there's a screen on it, then I can't put the unit in.
Right, but okay, fair. So put the unit in.
Well, it just doesn't just slide in and then all's good. I gotta tape off around and make sure there's no area for the bugs to get in. It's just during that whole process, a million mosquitoes will get in.
Yeah, okay. Fair. Oh, you mean just that right now you can't do it. I get it.
Yeah, it's just
I
too
get
late
you.
in the day now.
How
yeah,
you
I'm
doing,
doing all
Slick?
right.
Yeah?
It's like Mick. Oh, yeah, I'm doing all right. Other than the sweltering heat outside, I had a pretty good day. Hung out with my daughter. Tried to go for a bike ride that lasted, I think, 4 minutes.
Oh,
Why
no.
so short?
Oh, she was just she'd get in the sun, and then she'd be like, "No, I need shade," and we'd bike 3 feet to the shade, and then she'd be like, "All right, I'm cold. We can keep going." And then, 3 feet into the sun, she'd be like, "Okay, we need shade again." I'm just like, this is a wash today. Let's just go home.
She
That
is
kid is
absolutely your
fantastic.
daughter.
Yeah, but it was a good day. Oh, 100%. That's exactly what I would say.
All right, well, good
How
shit.
you doing,
So,
Fresh?
I'm good. It's got me feeling out here like, climate change might just be ready to kill us.
Yeah, maybe.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't know. All I can do is enjoy whatever's going on while it lasts, because I was fucking whining about the rain for long enough. So you know what? I'm going to just take this heat and shut the fuck up and carry on.
And you know what? Isn't that some shit too? It's always the one thing working in retail. It's the fucking weather, eh? It's yes. And then they always complain about it being too hot for too long. It rains for a day, and they go, "There's fucking rain over here." I was like, "It's a day. Relax." But Christ Almighty, is that only ever the conversation of complaining when it's bad? But this is fucking ridiculous. It's still too hot because global warming.
Yeah.
Came kind of full circle on that. I complained about it, and then I complained about why people do it, and then I complained about it.
Oh man, you're like an 80-year-old man already. It's amazing.
Well, I think I'm keeping myself out of the 80-year-old range, because I recognize my stupidity and I just own it.
Fair.
I'm trying.
I think we need to let the people know. I mean, we haven't put any pictures up or anything, but I'm gonna still tell everybody how fucking ripped the Pope is getting.
My
Mickey is hitting it hard.
I know.
I should not have shown you guys that.
Oh, yes,
Why?
you should have.
Why? Be proud of yourself, bro.
I am. I've actually been even just trying to show people here and there, just hey, take a look at this. And I've been feeling less and less, and sometimes not even all embarrassment, or not necessarily shame, but I'm showing my body, and that's not something I'm used to doing. That's all. So
Yeah, you
Probably
say
not
that
used to
now,
working
and
out
soon
either.
you're gonna be like a fucking Instagram hoe.
oh god, I hope. Well, and then I have to get rid of all this body hair, and I don't have the money for that.
Yeah, that's okay though. Just embrace the hairiness, man. That's what I did. I just stopped caring. I got hair coming out of the back of my t-shirt now, just up my neck.
Oh my goodness.
It's just gross. I put the ponytail in, and I just go, and I don't care anymore.
Fair enough.
Ponytail gang, gang, gang.
Ponytail gang, gang, gang.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, our lives.
Our lives indeed.
Well, our lives might not last too much longer.
So I've been hearing.
There's I don't know. It's scary out there. Talking about what this whole virus and everything might mean, and I mean we've already gone through all that, but there's there's just a lot of ways it could all end and very quickly.
One of the ways, if it's going to, and I know we're probably not going to cover it at all in this, but essentially just, some rogue planet just sideswiping us and we don't even see it coming. It's just, boom, done, lights out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's
I feel
always
like
some
we'd see that
NASA
one
shit.
coming, though.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, sorry, it's looking at one at the same time there. There's always some NASA shit where it's like, there's another asteroid coming.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a little bit alarming. It's like, oh, gonna come within like 100 kilometers. You go, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. And it's like, well, in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of a bad thing. It's like, oh, great. Well, I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But the truth is, we've been living on the razor's edge pretty much for as long as we've been living. Like, there's always been people who believed it was going to be the end of the world, and we walk a really precarious balance. The more that we've been able to affect the world, the more that effect has rippled out and shown itself in consequences we didn't expect. But at the same time, before, when we weren't able to make the world more habitable for ourselves, we were just kind of at the whim of nature. So we're walking this fine line of balance as humans.
That's a really nice way of putting it, actually. Well, nice as more so like interesting.
Yeah.
But what do you mean? Like we're kind of like with nature.
Well, I that's the thing, right? Like we said before, nature is a savage bitch, and it really does not care. No. It really doesn't. That's why we have to work this out for ourselves. But also, as we know, climate change and pollution and even more obvious things like habitat destruction and whatnot, we've taken away things that are actually good for us by trying to make the world better for us.
Yeah. One of the kind of follies, or whether it be for reasons of it's just not economical enough to keep doing that, but
yeah, but we're not really here talking about climate change specifically today. What we're talking about is like doomsday, like what the end might look like. What is it? What can we do? Is it possible to anticipate or prepare for it? Or are we just at the whim of the universe?
Well, depending on the doomsday, I think there are some things that we can do to prepare for it. But I think if I may, I think there's only maybe a couple of things, and it might be like, minor climate change. I mean like minor, or mostly kind of more of like a societal issue, like where society crumbles for whatever, whether it be war or just civil disobedience or what have you, just people just losing their shit civilly.
Well, I think that would more be like
losing their shit civilly.
I think that would more be like uncivilly, right? That we have to worry about.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just messing up my words again.
So what are some examples of this recently that we've looked into that people thought like, oh shit, this was going to be it? Like, what about like 2012?
Well, 2012 was definitely the big one, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh yeah, dude, I remember 2011, and that was like the hot topic. Like, well, at least with the people I associated with, it was like, all right, man, is it going to end next year? I don't know. I have no idea. Let's, some people are like, yeah, I hope so. And some people are like, no. It was just a weird time because it was so, I don't know if it was actually like a worldwide thought that it might end in 2012, but it like in North America, people believe that shit.
But what was the basis for it anyway, really, right? Like something about the Mayans, but nobody even knows who the fucking Mayans are.
Very true.
Yeah. So I did some research on that. I got the top 3 most popular end of the world predictions since 2000, pretty much. So when we were old enough to understand what the hell's happening, right? So 2012
like
is obviously
Y2K?
the biggest one, and Y2K is the other one I got, and the third one was the I always say hard-on, but it's not. It's Hadron Collider. the Large Hadron Collider, and that was in 09.
Hard-on Collider.
The Hard-on Collider.
That should be the subtitle for our
Maya
show,
one.
the Hard-on Collider.
Oh my god.
Dude, yeah, that's a t-shirt right there.
Oh my god.
Just gold.
Okay, go on. The Mayan one.
The Mayan apocalypse. It was pretty much 2012 was the end of like their calendar. It marked the end of the first great cycle, right? So a lot of people like misinterpreted this to mean like an absolute end to all. Like they prophesized the world was only going to last this long, and after that, boom, nothing. Like I don't know. They didn't even really. From my research, I couldn't find any information that was written by the Maya of what would end the world. But pretty much, what people, or the popular theories, I guess, was a collision with an unknown planet, and it was named Nibiru or Planet X. Or Eris, I think that's how you pronounce it. Those are the three names that people knew this unknown planet. Or a large meteor would hit Earth and kill us all. Or the Earth's magnetic poles would just switch and somehow just, I don't know, end all life on Earth while doing so. So none of that happened.
Just in case everyone was wondering.
Yeah, in case you guys are all, unless it happened and we're all just, we all just went to the next dimension and we're just living there now. So who actually knows? Yeah, drop that one.
Fuck.
So I guess like the Maya calendar tracked time for 5,125 years. So that was the Great Cycle. Now,
okay.
I read that like one of their descendants, this guy, I got this all from the National Post, actually. It was like very, a good website to do some digging. Jose Manrique Esquivel, I can't say the name. I'm just probably butchering that, so I apologize. But he's actually was a descendant of the Maya. And I guess like the communities in like Mexico and shit, they just seen it as more of a celebration. Like, okay, it's the end of this cycle and we're starting a new cycle. So new things, right? A new era to draw in. So it was more of a celebration, he said, for his community. Whereas the rest of the world pretty much just ignored that and thought that the world was ending, that says a lot about your world when you're just ignoring a descendant of the Maya, right? Like, the guy obviously knows more than, Jimmy in Minnesota, who's buying, pallets of food at Costco, but no one wants to listen to the dude. And
so this guy is actually a descendant of the Maya, and he's saying, no, it's this.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, no, you're wrong about your culture.
I don't even know if everyone even like knew about, like, if they had descendants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one really, at least in my personal experience, no one kind of looked into it. Everyone was just like watching the news, and like it's almost like that's when the news. Well, I'm probably wrong in saying this, but at least in my eyes, that's one of the main times where I'm like, oh, news is just reality TV. Like, it's just there for ratings, because it was like profiteering almost. They just kept going at it, and companies would take advantage of using fear mongering to just gouge profits. And he even says that Jose even said that he blamed profiteers that were just looking to scam the gullible people who valued life and didn't want it to end. So that's kind of upsetting that no one really listened to the people with firsthand experience in the culture.
Right.
Right. And it got like I remember my mom, we had this thing and we had a pantry, right? And back in like 2011, we nicknamed it the 2012 cupboard. So it's
okay.
We didn't stock up, but we stocked up. I'm using air quotes there, right? Like you just buy, 4 extra cans of whatever the fuck you usually buy.
Mostly because it was still on sale, though, right?
Probably. Like I don't really know. I was busy. Probably. How old was I then? 22. Jesus, yeah, 22. I was busy just partying, so I don't really remember much. But like people took this seriously, dudes. Like really fucking serious. And I got 2 examples of 2 guys, and I guess they're both from China. I'm not even going to pronounce their names because I can't. I just can't. But one gentleman spent his entire life savings, $160,000, building a 70-foot by 50-foot vessel with 3 diesel engines. So like pretty much a Noah's Ark to a degree, right?
Oh my God.
And the other dude, whose name is, I can't say that either. He was 32 at the time, so fairly like a young dude, right? Like, he built or purchased, he obtained, we'll say, a 3-ton yellow steel ball that measured 13 feet in diameter, and it was specifically designed to survive volcanoes, tsunamis, earthquakes, or a nuclear meltdown.
Jesus.
So,
okay, but what are you gonna do?
And that's just 2 examples of.
Like, what did they think would happen? Okay, so
I don't
now
know.
you open the door on your ball, and like, what?
Yeah, that's the question, right? It's like what came after? Like, even if you survived mass, I don't know, natural disasters or just the world imploding, like what would you do after that? Like, I don't get it, really. But it was crazy. It was a really crazy time, and it was specifically supposed to end like on December 21st. I think everyone kind of knows that, and obviously Hollywood. Everyone remembers the movie 2012.
Didn't see it, but I remember.
Also, did not see it.
Which was weird because it starred. It was like John Cusack and The Rock, which is a weird team up.
Yep.
And it wasn't that great of a movie. But it sure probably made a lot of money.
Yeah, I bet it did.
Probably did. You're right.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? So profiteering, fear-mongering, it was just kind of another play, for companies, I think, just to kind of gouge people.
You know what movie I would pay a lot to see? Would be anything starring an all Terry Crews cast. Like Terry Crews playing
like
every role.
Character played by Terry Crews.
Yeah, like you know how Eddie Murphy used to fuck around and play like multiple characters, or Mike Myers, but like this whole movie is just all Terry Crews.
Oh my, dude, you got to email Terry Crews. Like, that shit needs to happen. When's the last time you've seen a movie like that? Like, when did the last Austin Powers movie come out?
Yeah,
it's been like 10 years.
Well, I think that's been for a reason too.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Little backtrack. The 2012 movie, it was budgeted for $200 million, and the box office was $769.7 million.
Wow.
So it did okay.
Yeah, it did pretty good, eh? So that is, I think, the number one false prophecy of the end of times would be 2012.
Okay.
Like in our lifetime, you mean?
Like, I think almost, well, in our lifetime, but since, the world was so interconnected by that time, I'm thinking the entire existence of humanity. You know what I mean? Because everyone kind of knew about it because you have information traveling across the entire world, right? So
I see. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everyone probably has personal stories about it or personal memories, whether you believed it or not, or you just were waiting to see what happened. I think it kind of affected almost everyone to some degree. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy fucking time, dude. Crazy time to be alive and not to die.
Yeah, and for absolutely nothing to happen. I wonder if the news feels any shame for the amount of content that they mined from that whole fucking episode that literally turned out to be nothing. Completely nothing.
Oh, they have zero shame.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing. They're just like, oh, look how much fucking money we made. Awesome.
Yeah, they probably don't care.
That's a damn shame. Well, what the fuck was up with the Y2K thing, because I remember that as a kid, and I remember being explained the basic proposition of it, and the whole deal was all the computers are running on this is how fucking pathetic our short-sighted minds are. All the computers are running on this dating system that only has the years in 2 digits, and we're up to 99, and we don't know what's going to happen when they reset to 00. Right? Did I basically
Yes,
get it there?
That's as far as what I know.
Nailed it.
You know what's crazy? It's
Y2K,
2020.
like,
There's
looking
people
back-
who don't remember that.
Oh, that's a weird thing to say.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
It's
It
a weird
is
thing to
nuts.
say.
Okay,
Wow.
sorry. Anyway, go on, Slick.
No, I was just gonna say, Y2K. When I was like doing some research, it was wild. It was absolutely wild because it seems so dumb, right? Like, okay, I'm not even gonna go through all the research, everything I did, because it's almost a waste. It's just people, pretty much what you said. Computers were designed until the 90s, apparently, to abbreviate 4-digit years to 2 digits. So 98 was 1998. And like you said, we didn't know what was going to happen when it just read 00.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone just started thinking computer systems were going to fail. Anything with a computer chip in it. So we're talking airplanes, elevators, any kind of, probably like trains and shit. I don't know. I can't remember. I was 10? No. Yeah, I was 10. So I don't remember what the world was even like back then or how much shit had computer chips in it. But people were pretty much just scared. Like, airplanes were just going to start dropping from the sky. And it actually had a huge effect, to the point where, like, Bill Clinton... Where was that? Bill Clinton enacted the Y2K compliance program.
Oh.
So it pretty much got all these like engineers to go in, and all these businesses, right, like on a municipal level, pretty much in the States, to go in and fix and update the dating systems of the computer systems. And then it happened all over the world. It happened in Europe. It happened everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was insane. The amount of money that was spent to fix this problem, it almost made me throw up. It was $300 billion worldwide.
Oh.
More than half of that was spent in the United States of America.
I didn't even realize
To
any
fix this
money
issue.
was
And that was in
actually
2000.
put into it. I thought it was just like we just let it happen and sort of shrugged.
No. It a massive amount of money was put into fixing this problem. And like literally nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. I don't know, maybe some dude's computer shut down, like at his desk. I have no idea, but nothing major really happened. But after this, I guess there was a mass relief, right? So we got to think of the time frame. You're thinking 2000.
Mm-hmm.
That's when everything's kind of probably picking up, I would think. The internet's evolving. Everything's starting to evolve at a really rapid pace in technology perspective. So people were really relieved, and then immediately after, everyone just started fucking blaming people, right? Like the news outlets started just saying this was grossly over-exaggerated. We spent way too much money, blah, 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 and then no one cared anymore, like 6 months later, because there's really nothing to care about. Life moved on, right? Like, it's crazy. I should have looked in some profiteering on that one, because I bet there was a ton of fucking, companies price gouging during that as well.
Oh, yeah. But
I didn't really look that up, because it was just kind of like, I couldn't stop from laughing when I'm reading the article, because it sounds so ridiculous now, right? Like,
it's crazy to think what was going on in the world at that time. Like fucking Bill Clinton was president, and the internet hadn't connected the entire world, and like we were young, The Simpsons was still good. Like it was just a crazy place.
Yeah. It was an insane place. It was a different time.
I honestly, a little part of me has always been a little sad that I was too young to fully experience all of that. For me, it was just more so.
What, the panic and desperation?
Well, even yeah, just because for me, what I mostly remember from 2000 was literally it's like, wow, I get to live, because like they really drilled this into our heads, was you get to live to see a millennia happen. I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty much was my take on it from when I was a kid.
Okay.
I mean, like, I get that. I remember kind of being excited for that reason because I didn't really understand Y2K. Like, I didn't.
Yeah.
I think I was still playing like 64 at the time, and I just couldn't be bothered, right? Like, I didn't really care. I was like, what, computers? I don't know. I was a dumb kid. But the fact that like the number changed, like the first number from a 1 to a 2, I remember being like pumped about that for some reason, even though it doesn't even fucking really matter. But like that excited me as a 10-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. We were all dumb as 10-year-olds.
Right? Like you're just like, yeah, it's like it's been one number for 1,000 years. Now we're going to see a 2 in front of stuff.
You know what? That just rang a freaking bell in my head. I'm like, oh my god, yeah.
That's it, really. I mean, that's the excitement right there. And
yeah, if you look at the other end, it changes every 365 days.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really that significant. But apparently it was. That was a huge year. And it was filled with fear, which was, I mean, imagine that New Year's, being an adult, celebrating New Year's Eve on Y2K. Like, you're either going ham because you don't give a fuck anymore because you think the world's about to end, or you're, like, locked in your basement just shuddering. Like,
sure. What's
happening?
My old boss was actually in New York for the millennial 2000. Anyways, yeah, for the Y2K. I'm like, holy fuck! Just like imagine all the other ones, but that one had to be the most insane.
Yeah, that probably was, man. It probably was.
This is how little my family cared about that. They just left me and a buddy home alone. They didn't give a shit.
Have fun, enjoy it. We'll see ya. Maybe. Cool.
Well, to be fair, if the world was going to end, you're fucked anyway, so who cares?
Well, and also
Very
we lived
true.
in the county, so like what's going to happen? The power's going to go off. That happens every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? There's really, I guess it was more like don't fly on New Year's Eve at that time. That, I guess that would have been, imagine that though, dude. Imagine going out and like you just see just planes dropping out of the sky all at once. Wouldn't that be fucking nuts?
That would be fucking.
Why didn't they make horrific. A Y2K movie?
That's a good question. That's a way better movie than fucking 2012.
Yo.
Y2K,
Bruce
yes.
Willis.
All Terry Crews.
Keanu Reeves.
I'm in.
But Terry Crews plays 8 characters, and then you have Bruce Willis and Keanu Reeves as supporting, right? Like, and you're good.
Yeah, they play the women.
And then, yeah, exactly. It's 2020. That's acceptable, I think. That's fine.
It's true.
I would love to see Bruce Willis play a woman role. Honestly, I just want to see if his chops are up to it. Because I don't think they are, man.
I will agree with you. I don't think that he would do it.
So, after, in between, I guess, the two, you had the large hard-on collider.
Yes. I've been excited for this since you first mentioned it.
This one, I think, flew under the radar, and honestly, this one was probably the most scary. This is how fucked up humans are, I guess. Like, I don't understand why people were so terrified of Y2K. I mean, I kind of get it because everything was started to be so reliant on computers.
Absolutely.
And, the thought of a giant planet in 2012 smashing into Earth is, yeah, it's terrifying, but there was really no solid evidence for that. But
well, no, but the thing is, like, with planets, like, hold on. With planets, like, people don't understand astronomy in the slightest. Like, a planet doesn't suddenly just hit you. You see that shit for years.
Yeah, exactly.
Well-
That's what I mean, right? Like,
Maybe they're thinking it was more of like a what's that movie, The Fifth Element sort of thing, just kind of way off in space and then just activated and then shoots towards it. There's nothing we can do about it.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what people were thinking, but it didn't make any sense to me, really. Like, I got the same mindset as Fresh. If a planet's going to hit and you're going to see it for like years, or it's going to go right through a wormhole and just like appear in our atmosphere and destroy Earth.
That'd be fucking.
That'd be insane. But this one has some grounds to be kind of scary, man. I think everyone at this point knows what CERN is, right?
Yes, I think I don't know what it stands for, but I'm aware of it.
Well, it's an acronym, but it's actually in French, but in English it's just the European Organization for Nuclear Research. And it's located in Geneva, Switzerland, and it's the largest particle accelerator or collider on the planet. And in 2009, they did an experiment that they thought was going to create a black hole and literally just blow the Earth up. And to me, that seems a bit more probable than the other ones, right? You're smashing subatomic particles, and you don't really know what's going to happen. You're just kind of trying to observe what is going to happen, right?
And isn't that like the funny thing about people? It's like, hey, a legitimate science disaster could happen. It's probably not going to happen. Hey, no evidence to back up this claim might happen. Oh my God, everybody get your shit. Go get some toilet paper. We're all fucked.
But I think I'd rather like, instead of listening to like people who think like we're dealing with it right now with this fucking virus, I gotta hear a corner store biologists every day tell me about how this is all a hoax. And it's like, look, I understand it might seem like we overreacted, but it's also because we prepared adequately that consequences were minimized as best we could. But like, imagine listening to the fucking craft beer top-knot douche bros tell us about how the world's going to end because the scientists won't stop fucking around with quantum physics and it's just going to suck us all in from the center of Sweden. I'd have killed somebody. I'd have fucking killed somebody.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. Because that's pretty much what happened. That's literally, in 2008, a group of independent scientists tried to sue CERN to put a stop to these tests.
No, I didn't know that.
Because of that reason. Yeah, so really the plan was they were going to have subatomic particles called hadrons. Hadrons? I think I'm saying that. It's hardons. We're just going to call them hardons.
Just
I can't pronounce any words. So subatomic particles called hardons, they're going to collide them, right?
Sure.
And so this led to some of these scientists who were critics of it, right? So who knows what their background really was. I didn't dig that far because I didn't want to go down that hole. They believed it would create a black hole and it would destroy Earth either by, I guess, an explosion or like an implosion, and we would get sucked into this black hole they created. They tried to sue to stop it. It didn't go through. They went through with the experiment. And what happened was fucking insane. Listen to this shit, dude. The experiment went forward, and it resulted in creating temperatures 1 million times hotter than the center of the sun.
Oh my God.
The only time that has ever happened, apparently, I'm just saying what I read, right? Was the first billionths of a second following the Big Bang. So that's it. Like, that's what they pretty much recreated the first billions of a second of the Big Bang at this place.
That's fucking amazing.
And then nothing happened. Yeah, in my notes I got nothing bad happened. LOL.
Well, that was all the search for the Higgs boson, the particle that attracts mass. They called it the God particle because again, it probably sold more papers.
Yeah, nope, good point.
Right. So actually, the Higgs boson, it was discovered in 2012 at CERN. So yeah, you're pretty much, the particle accelerator was just to study any kind of subatomic particles, and they wanted to find the Higgs, right? They wanted to find the God particle, And I did some digging on the Higgs boson, and from what I could understand in layman's terms, it's this particle helps give mass to all elementary particles that have mass. So like electrons and protons.
Okay.
It's super important to the standard model of like physics, the building blocks of everything, because it's what did I write there? Oh my god, I gotta take a writing class. I don't know. I can't. Anyway, it pretty much signaled the existence of the Higgs field, which is an invisible energy field present throughout the entire universe that introduces other particles to a mass, pretty much giving them their weight, right? Hence the name, the God particle. So without this Higgs boson or this Higgs field, like I'm no physicist, so I had a decently hard time like trying to sum this up. It pretty much gives everything meaning, right? Like matter, what it is, mass, which is insane. And then they found that in 2012. So without CERN, they would never have found this particle. Which, imagine if CERN would have got shut down because they were worried about that. We would have no idea.
Right.
But it's like, but I do get the people's reaction to it, going, "Hey, this seems like it." To again, like I'm glad it all happened, but I'm thinking the way they did. It's like, is it worth it? You know what I mean?
No, I
like,
agree.
Yeah,
I get that, man. Like, and that's what I'm saying. This is the only one that had some, footing for a disaster. Because you look at it, like, million times hotter than the center of the sun. Like, I don't know how they contain that or what. Like, it was probably very, like, on a molecular level. You know what I mean? Super small. And that's the only way they could have observed and contained temperatures like that. But that's insanity. And if that got out of hand somehow, yeah, we probably would all be dead. So, and like, I guarantee if you go to a bar and you're like, yeah, you guys remember in 2009, the Large Hadron Collider? No one's going to be like, yeah, man, I was prepped for that. No one fucking knew.
Well, it depends on
that
what
was just
bar
a really
you're in.
cool one, I thought.
Yeah, also depends on the bar you're in.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Wild, man.
It's crazy to think that happened on Earth. Like, literally, we could have been sucked into a black hole in the fucking.
I'm fairly sure they actually recreated a black hole there too. I mean, I could just be talking about a fucking Dan Brown book at this point, so I don't.
No. You're absolutely correct, dude. That was recent though, because now they're trying to figure out.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
what are they trying to figure out?
Well, they're trying to figure out how black holes have any acting force upon the universe, right? Because they recently discovered the gravity waves. So this is all like very exciting, and it was predicted by Einstein, doubted for 100 years, and then holy shit, they fucking proved it. But they don't know what that necessarily means. They're still trying to figure out dark matter and everything, and they think that a lot of this has to do with black holes. So they made one. But I mean, these things last for like a fraction of a second. It's not what you picture as a giant spaceborne entity sucking up everything around it. They come in and out of existence, and it's only because of super sophisticated measurement tools that we even know that we did an experiment.
It's insane, eh? To think, that's insane. I can't. Yeah, people struggle, cleaning up you throw a Mentos in a Coke, and it's like their whole world's flipped upside down. You got these guys like fucking creating black holes underground in Switzerland and shit. Like, oh my god, it's kind of terrifying at the same time, right? But then again, maybe that's just my ignorance. Anyway, those were the big three I could find, like in the last 20 years, I guess.
So has there really been at any point anything to worry about?
From what Slick did? Is there an end to worry about?
Yeah. I mean, was there really ever any concern with all of that?
I don't know, man. I did read somewhere, and again, this is years ago, that there is a planet X, or they think there is another planet in our solar system or from another solar system, but its orbit is so large it actually comes into ours every couple hundred years or so. I don't remember. This was years ago I read this shit, dude. I don't know if it had any bearing. Like, I have no idea. I didn't fact check it. I was probably stoned. It was probably like 2 a.m. when I read this. But I do remember that because I thought it was interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y2K, I don't think that kind of shit's ever going to happen again. And I don't really think there was any true worry. Like, I just feel like that one was a kind of an oopsie. Like, whoopsie, we spent $300 billion on that one. Although they did say, like, a lot of and people, like scientists and what's the word? And I can't think of what they're called, but pretty much scientists and researchers say that that whole program that they did to try to avoid the Y2K catastrophe that never was actually did improve our computer systems quite a bit. So, I mean, maybe there was a little bit of benefit to spending that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the hard-on collider is the one that still gets me, man. Like, you never know what they're doing. Science experiments in general can go wrong, and when you're playing with things like that and you don't really know what could happen, at least from just a normal person's perspective, that one scares me the most. But I don't think it's just that. I think it's any kind of cutting edge science, even in like biology, like just with this COVID thing, right? I mean, I think it was 2014. I read I didn't read the article in 2014, but 2014, apparently there was like a super flu created in a Chinese lab, and they mixed like avian and swine flu, and it was insanely terrible. I don't mark my words for this, but I mean, you guys can research it for yourself. I'm pretty sure they got reprimanded by the entire world science community and like lost their licensing to do any kind of research.
Did you
But
just
that's
go
what
Alex
happens
Jones
when,
on us? Is that what just happened
you're
right
on the
there?
cutting. I might have. No, I'm fairly sure that's a true thing, unless I was fucking hammered when I read that.
No, oh fuck! It's so hard to know anymore, man.
I'm googling this now. Anyway, my point is, when you start playing with like the edge of science, that's the scary part, because you don't really know what's going to happen next, right?
Yeah,
you're trying to do it for the good of humanity and to understand the world around us, and you could create or cause something that maybe might destroy lots of people or things. I don't know. So I want to see if this.
See if what you're saying was.
Maybe I just said a bunch of bullshit, dude. I might have just went Alex Jones on us.
I mean, it is fresh looking Mick. Sometimes we do that.
Yeah, I know.
We've been known to bullshit.
Just don't worry about that.
All right. Well, let's assume that there ever was a real threat in any of these things. Like, we've all seen, like, there's shows like Doomsday Preppers and stuff like this. And I've read a few books, really good books, actually, that talk about like what people think that sort of thing is going to be, and then what it'll actually be, and what a real appropriate and measured response would be in some kind of crisis, whether it be global war, nuclear fallout, climate disaster, what have you. But I know there's a lot of people who think they know what's going on.
Yeah. Just a quick question, though, just because as you said, you were doing a lot of reading with it. Did you come across a Bradley Garrett by chance?
Bradley Garrett. It doesn't ring a bell, but that doesn't mean no. There's a lot of names.
Okay, no problem. It's just because that was someone I came across while I was doing some of my research, and I was going to possibly delve more into him, but his thing was more so essentially what I was doing, just kind of looking at the preppers world from looking at it from the outside sort of thing. But anyways, I just want to know so that we can kind of maybe elaborate, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to stop talking now.
Well, no, that was kind of an intro into your segment, so don't stop talking.
Oh, absolutely. But I meant like, anyways, segmenting, absolutely.
Jesus
So
Christ.
there were some pretty interesting people that I found that I would very much am excited to get into. But first, I thought the most important thing is for us to fully understand what goes through these people's minds and their thoughts and their processes, and just who they are as people. And I'm talking about the ones who are obviously the preppers. My goodness, is it interesting and also just kind of sad. So a lot of I guess when you have a university degree and they're just throwing money at you, apparently this is some of the topics that these people like to kind of dive into and understand the psychology of the prepper. So right off the bat, this is what a neuroscientist says from Minnesota. The initial response to any hint of alarm is fear. This is the architecture with which we were built. And I thought that was kind of nice because, as far as I'm concerned, that it totally includes everybody. That's every human being, because that's, again, like we are animals, of course, and we do respond to fear, not necessarily appropriately, but accordingly, right?
Okay.
Most of these people obviously believe that the end is nigh, but the reason why a lot of them actually have this is a way of validating themselves. So most of it is like they're finding like-minded fatalists and attributing the end to some sort of cosmic order. Again, we talked about the Mayan calendar. But mostly a big reason why they do it is to remove any sense of individual responsibility. Now, I am not a psychologist, but as far as I'm concerned, you don't need an end of the world for people to kind of shrug off individual responsibility. Let's be honest.
Well, that's true.
Oh, I poured my coffee in my crotch and it was hot. I'm suing the company. So,
that's not fair. That was a legitimate case. That woman was horribly burned.
She was horribly burned, but it's just like, but what did she do? Why? Where's the... Anyway, nope, you're right. That's too much. So, regardless of that one thing, but you do know, like, people will, like, they'll buy something. They'll again, me working in retail, they bought it. They obviously fucking broke it. They come back and go, oh, I want to return this. It's like, well, why do I have to shoulder that responsibility? Why does the company have to shoulder that responsibility? You obviously fucking broke it. Anyways, off topic there. A lot of these people, this is from a Karen Douglas of the University of Kent. People tend to have a feeling of powerlessness connected with a mistrust in authority. Again, we see the people who, like present day, protesting COVID-19. Nobody trusts anybody, and I bet you a lot of those people were probably preppers.
Well, there's a thread that runs through the prepper community that also a lot of those protesters, which is their like violent libertarianism, like no one can ever tell me what to do.
Yeah. And that's also, very much part of it. And so this Karen Douglas elaborates more on that, saying, these convictions of mistrust and impotence, which I thought was interesting how she put that, make their conspiracies more precious and real. And I quoted her saying, people feel like they have knowledge that others do not. And I don't know what your guys' personal experience with preppers or people who kind of have that, but my God, do they defend nothing? Like they don't have anything to back up any of their claims, but when you challenge it, they lose their shit. Like they get pissed.
Well, yeah, I mean, we want to paint people like this in paranoid lights, and I think part of it is to make our own complete lack of preparation look rational.
Oh,
and so I kind of get that. So I don't know. I don't know that it's the same thing that drives every fucking prepper, but that's why we're talking about it, right? Like really, what what makes a person like that? I don't fucking know.
Well, I'm actually going to hop on that one in just a moment, but one more part of the piece of the puzzle and kind of like the mentality of the preppers is guy Stephen Schultzman from Harvard Medical School says the idea fascinates people. Some people say that life would be simpler, but more so they romanticize the idea, and mostly in terms of like zombie apocalypse. So he has a degree in child psychology mostly. So I was a little kind of, you know, on his whole position on how people think and preppers and stuff like that. But essentially what it was he would interview these children and they were all saying like, yeah, I'd love a zombie apocalypse. I just get to shoot people all day and shit like that. But again, it's just obviously they don't understand the gravity of a legitimate apocalypse to that degree. But that's what people will do. They like the idea of being like on top, or I'm totally prepared for this and I can take whatever the apocalypse throws at me, right?
Yeah. There's absolutely a sense of people feeling like they've got it in their hands.
Yeah, exactly. And then he, one of the things that he said I thought was just really interesting. I wanted to share with you guys. So he says he believes that the propensity to panic is not constant in history, but instead reflects the times. Looking at today's world of war, terrorism, etc., people are primed for panic. So I did a little bit of like I didn't have to really dive too deep into this, but you look at the Cuban Missile Crisis and anything post World War II, they would have their nuclear bomb drills where they would they'd go under their desk and go, this is going to do us some good when the atomic bomb hits a kilometer away.
Yeah, really.
But during that time though, there it was people were making bomb shelters. Y2K, I bet you people were looking to go off grid. 2012, well, I don't think there was much prepping to happen because considering what was going to be the end of it was the complete and total wipeout of the planet. So what's the point, right? And then today, I think we're kind of going back into bomb shelters and like forts and compounds and stuff like that, right? But so that now we're kind of getting to the more real and sad part of it is, unfortunately, a lot of these people do have mental disorders. And it's from one prepper to the next. It's unfortunate that a lot of them all seem to share it. Starting with, of course, PTSD. On some fucking level, these poor bastards have had something fucking happen in their life that they need to disassociate themselves from. And again, the way they put it was the PTSD makes them want to push themselves away from society, which kind of they fall into the prepper and doomsday prepper categories. They also unfortunately suffer from schizophrenia, paranoid personality disorder, and persecutory delusion. Delusion, where they believe someone is out to get them constantly, like whether it be the government or whatever. But then we have to go into very immediately after is the fucking money.
Oh God. Oh man.
So
okay, well, hold on.
Okay.
Like, what is the actual like rate of? Sorry, I'm just watching this dude who just parked like directly in front of a fire hydrant out front of my house. Yeah, good. What is the actual rate for like PTSD?
Like how many people have it in the community?
Is there any kind of number? I'm just curious because I mean, you're just saying like, yeah, they have PTSD. Well, how many? Like, is this endemic?
Well, they didn't give any numbers, but when they said PTSD, it was kind of lumped into a list of them. So I'm not saying it. I don't think that this particular gentleman was saying it's the biggest problem.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like it was one of the first things he said, which I just kind of thought it's just more so. I don't want to say easier for us to understand, but just essentially go like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense, and then all the other stuff is just kind of more so it's just sad, like in schizophrenia, paranoid personality disorder, and again the fucking delusion that was just new for me. I was like, oh cool, I learned something today, but I can't fucking pronounce it, so I'm gonna have to put that into Google later.
Like persecute.
So pretty much like
is it persecutory delusion? Persecutory?
Yeah,
it's weird.
Like they're after me.
So
yeah. Is that slick?
Oh no! I was just gonna say, just pretty much these people either like they just don't want to be part of society, so they're kind of hoping that something ends society as they know it.
Yeah.
Right? They're like rooting for it, like the Super Bowl kind of thing.
Oh,
Like,
and some of them do. Absolutely, they do. So some of the there's the obvious stuff that people buy. Food, kind of like top number one, right? They're gonna buy non-perishable items, but people will go as far as to buy something that is called an unsinkable yacht.
oh wow.
And from what I read about it, it was more so it doesn't tip. Like I think if you were to blow enough holes in it, it's going down. But it's more so it won't tip over. Starting at $100,000, just to start.
That sounds cheap for a yacht.
It does, but I think again, it's not a big yacht. Like the picture that I saw, it didn't look massive, and I do not know what size of a boat would classify as a yacht. The food stockpiles was interesting because there were certain kits one could buy, particularly at Costco. I don't know if you guys remember, but if I'm not mistaken, it was during. You know what? Nope, I don't even know. But I remember it happening a couple of years ago. But essentially, it was a $6,000 pallet of food.
$6,000 from Costco? That's American
for
dollars?
one pallet of food. You know what? I'm going to assume that was probably American dollars because everything I fucking look up is .com. So,
Okay.
But essentially it's 12 months worth of food for 4 people, but it sold out in 2 weeks.
Wow.
One particular gentleman, a guy named Keith Hillen, Hillen, he has what it was called in the article a Doomsday equipment store. He had a 200 to 400% increase in sales when there was a trade threat between the U.S. and North Korea.
You had a what? Sorry, say that one more time.
200 to 400% increase in sales.
Wow. Oh my God.
Like that shit happens like for gyms and for New Year's resolutions.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty and COVID-19 toilet paper.
Right. There you go. And I just want to kind of see. I went to the website and just saw some of the stuff that this guy sells. He has throwing axes for $25 a pop, iodine pills for $15.99, gas masks for $40, and even legitimate Geiger counters.
Oh,
What the fuck is that?
for radiation.
For radiation, yeah.
Oh.
$200 just for the Geiger counter.
Yo, this boat though. Sorry, I just gotta say something about this. This boat is nuts.
Is
It's
it?
gangster,
Yeah?
eh? Yeah, it's actually sick. Like, I don't have
fucking
$100,000, but it's
nuts.
fucking sick.
Dude, that's insane. Sorry,
No,
I had to just comment on that, dude.
It
That's
is
crazy.
Quite all right. So the guy again, Keith Hillner, he says people can spend preppers can spend average up to $200,000 on just supplies.
Wow.
Like that's mental. And then actually I even found that apparently a lot of preppers are buying up lots of land, and one can expect to pay anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 per acre, and they're buying it up by like the tens and hundreds of acres.
Yeah, I mean, buying land makes
just buy
sense
1
to me,
acre.
though. Like, I think land is a fucking great thing to have if you're, able to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, if you're able to. But then, what are you going to do with that land? Well, you might want to put a bunker in there. Now, I couldn't find a top amount because literally the sky's the limit. Like, if you have the money, you can make it. If you got a $5 million house, you can make a $5 million fucking bunker,
Yeah.
But just to start, $60,000
Wow.
for a bunker. And the bunker at $60,000 isn't doing too much. Like, essentially, if there's a nuclear explosion within your vicinity, it's not going to do much.
Have you guys? I gotta cut in here. Have you guys ever seen like on Reddit or anything when you're just browsing, taking your morning poop or whatever? I saw this one dude, and he was touring his bunker. Right, he's got an emergency bunker, and it was pretty. It wasn't like a $100,000 one. Well, I don't know really because I don't know what the walls were made of, but like it was legit though. Like if some shit went down, that guy was gonna be okay. You know what I
Yeah?
mean? Like, even if a hurricane hit or something, I don't know where he lived, but it was right in his backyard, and he had this like little, like a tortoise shell hatch kind of thing.
Yeah.
With the classic crank handle, the steering, looks like a steering wheel.
Yeah.
And it was done, and you go in, and it looks like something out of a movie. And then you walk down the hallway, and then it just kind of looked like a house. And it was nice.
Would you say that like his bunker was more so kind of like a hideout bunker? Like, let's wait for all this to blow over, or is it more? Okay, yeah.
I think it was more of like a panic or like a severe weather bunker or something like that. But
sure.
I mean, it probably would do if like there was an invasion or something. It was camouflaged really well, like, you know what I mean? It's cool to look at though, but like, my God. Anyway, sorry.
No, that's good. So, talking real big numbers, about 3.7 million people around the world classify themselves as preppers.
Whoa.
So like on the grand scheme of things, it's not like a lot of people, right? Like, 8 billion, 3.7 million. But with just kits alone, like just like little like Doomsday kits, like from like a small backpack all the way up to, again, the $6,000 Costco pallet, like it could be as low as 150 and then again up to $6,000. And then other things like boats, bunkers and stuff like that. But at almost 4 million people, if they only spent $1,000 a piece, we're at $4 billion. $4 billion, just like that. And then that's just if they spend $1,000. And for damn sure they're spending upwards of close to like, $250,000 each. Not each, but a good chunk of them anyways.
But I mean, again, if that's your identity too, like if you just get into that shit, like, we like to podcast and we like to do some, things, bike ride, and make music and blacksmith. But if you're just like, 23 and you're like, I'm going to be a prepper. I'm just going to fucking do it just in case. That's going to be your life. That's like your hobby. It must be, right? At that point, like.
Well, it's kind of funny you mentioned it as a hobby, because it's going to start me off with my first prepper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. David Stutz. He is an Army and Air Force veteran.
Okay.
And what he does now is he is a Doomsday camp instructor.
Huh. Whoa. They have Doomsday camps?
Guess what it's called?
What?
Prepper camp.
Oh, no.
How boring is that, though? Like, it's so boring. Yeah. Like, we're going to prepper camp? Like, no, why at least put the Doomsday in there? Like, prepper camp. But this was kind of sad because the New York Times says it's like Burning Man for preppers. When about every year it's 1,200 people show up, which is still quite a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, for that, 100%. Yeah.
And we can only assume it's going to keep growing, right?
After this, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to get, let's get into the mindset of this gentleman. In the article I read, quoted saying, "We love our Second Amendment."
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah, you can already see where it's going. But what apparently this guy keeps on his person at all times is a $250 bug out bag. He says no matter where he's going, doesn't matter what time of fucking day it is there, ready to go. And this was just so fucking crazy. It's a backpack, one fucking backpack. So
what's in it?
Well, I'll tell you. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He has a mantra: 2 is 1 and 1 is none. With that, he keeps extra supplies on hand. So are you fucking are you fucking ready for this?
No, I'm not. I don't think I am, but I am. I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
So there's a picture. I'll send it to you boys later, but there's a picture where parts of the bag are kind of laid on a table. Right off the bat, he's got knives on knives on knives on knives. Like, it's ridiculous how many knives this guy carries. Like, again, like he's got big ones, little ones, flip ones, switch ones, you name it. Bullets, wound dressing kits and sanitizers, bug sprays, flint, magnesium, fire starters, toiletries, sunscreen, toothpaste, baby powder, diaper rash cream, mouthwash wipes, portable towel. So it's like one of those things where you just add water, it kind of expands sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's like the size of like a little disc, like an Oreo cookie. Yeah. where was I? A cord. It's called 550 cord. Essentially, the name, it can hold 550 pounds. Flares, firecrackers, a headlamp, sleeping bag, yellow lens shooting glasses, a water key, which allows him to access different water sources like faucets, spigots, and stuff like that. It was a weird looking thing. A life straw, so that one where like you can drink out of any water source and it kind of filters it out. Well, kind of like totally. Water, food, military rations particularly, gloves, a tent, a radio, neck warmer, and that's some. I think I maybe did like a quarter of it.
That's in his bag at all times.
At all times.
Dude, how do you live? This is my question. Like, just, I know there's way more to cover, but like, how do you live every day, every second of every day with that level of paranoia? I mean, you're just always on. Probably
not very happily, but again, you know what? Though these guys are validated. They're validated within themselves and within their small community. So they probably think what they're doing is like right on key. Like everybody else is stupid, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
and one of his, actually, I think it was the only thing he did, but only in the article. I'm sure he does a lot more at this camp. He teaches, and I wanted to put this in like in big quotes, defensive shooting. I just love that. I like for a gentleman who goes, we love our Second Amendment. I highly doubt he teaches defensive shooting. I think he tells you how to shoot to kill.
Well, that's what you have to say to not look like a loon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
oh my god.
From there we go to the elite, the celebrity. They got lots of money, right?
Yep.
This was, I don't know if I was surprised, or just kind of like one of those, kind of breathe through your nose funny things.
Mm-hmm.
Ronda Rousey.
Huh.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
So I watched her, she did a Twitter post about her yard. She's got a big spot of land where she does this. And at first you're like, oh, she's kind of taking like a more modest approach to this, but then you keep watching it and you're just going, oh, never mind. So what she does is she showcases frozen meat, free range chickens, greenhouse growing veggies, an orange tree, water filtration, I think 2 more freezers of meat, Tesla batteries in case the power goes out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's got fucking money, right?
Yeah, this is top notch shit, right?
Yeah. So this is where, so like I'm watching this, I'm going like, she's kind of showing off, and I kind of got a little mad because I'm going, you know, yeah, you got all this money, but you know, granted, she worked for it. You know, she fucking trained, kicked ass. It didn't work out so well. Decided to go into the more, you know, acting area like WWE wrestling and shit like that. Where it's like, oh, okay, but you know,
that's real, man.
It's real shit. But so he, in response to her Twitter video, and again, I recommend just watching it just to see a little bit into her life. She says, "I'm a self-proclaimed genetic cream of the crop. I owe it to humanity to survive the end of the world." Kind of pompous, eh? Oh yeah,
a little bit.
Also says, I could buy, and this is where she kind of half redeems herself, which I thought was, you know, it just made it a little more realistic. She says, I could buy a bunch of things, but what's luxury to me and freedom to me is being independent and finding a way to live off the land and to do no harm, as opposed to buying as many mansions as I can and being on cribs. So it's kind of nice that she is literally, she has this wealth and just literally using it more purposefully, not frivolously, right?
Right.
And then she finished with a bit of a scary thought. She says, their survival plan, general people. People's general survival plan is a grocery store. If all the grocery stores closed, what would you do? It's a scary thought. And really, absolutely, that's the thought, because, you know, COVID happened and everyone was like, oh, I'm just going to go buy toilet paper at the grocery store.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. Most people they would just be completely fucking lost if all, like, our supply chain, if it just shattered into a million pieces. it would just be absolute fucking chaos because
Oh.
no one really knows what to do.
I know personally,
it really
I'd be
made me
fucked.
think with the whole
I'd be-
COVID thing. I mean, we've been like we're doing the gardening thing and everything, and I think that's wonderful, and that's honestly pretty fucking easy to do. Some of the stuff
Yep.
is right there on the surface, but like not so much supply chain, but like what about water? You know, what about when the utilities go off? That's when I start thinking like, oh shit.
Yeah. Even water though, I mean, you can if you have the knowledge, you can create a basic water filter. It's just not knowing what water you're filtering out. But yeah,
Exactly.
100%, right? Like if people lost the internet, like if the World Wide Web just went down forever, people would fucking lose it. And it really has no, bearing on your everyday life. You could still live with no internet.
Sure.
You're still alive, but people would mentally just fucking lose it.
Probably.
So imagine, Fresh, if water got shut off and we had no public anything, like water, like, oh man. Yeah, it's scary to think of that though.
Yeah.
It's honestly, when you do, I even kind of think, oh, maybe I should have some sort of contingency plan. It's kind of like, hey guys, if this happens, this is where we're going to meet. If you're not there by this time, sorry, you're get left behind, sort of thing. Anyways, so the final and personally the scariest dude, guy named Curtis Bowers. Quick little fun fact: he actually speaks regularly at the prepper camp.
Okay.
And when the person was interviewing David Stutz, he lectured the crowd who attended on how the Obama cabinet was infiltrated by Russian KGB agents, and how millennials are immoral religion haters destroying American values.
Oh boy.
Wraps it up with also buy 3 copies of my DVD to share with friends and neighbors.
There it is.
There it is.
But he is, as far as I'm concerned, like an actual crazy lunatic. So with this guy, he is part of the prepper crew in the terms of like, you buy this stuff, you do this stuff, you make sure you have this ready and stuff like that. But his big thing is more so on a religious base.
Oh.
So I watched a couple of his talks, and yeah, he honestly just sounds like a cult leader. 100% cult leader, like by the book, Old Testament style, and then makes up his few little whimsical things. Probably going to say that he's Jesus and can only impregnate women. Oh, and also he does have a wife and 9 kids who help run his company that he has.
What's his name again?
Curtis Bowers. So Curtis Bowers. You can actually find him on a couple of .org websites, so you can kind of understand that he's maybe not super legit to one degree, but one in particular is the christianworldview.org.
Oh.
And he on the website he said he aims to sharpen the biblical worldview of Christians and share the good news that all people can be reconciled to God through Jesus Christ. So during one of his talks, he would say, liberals are doing this and are gonna cause the end of civil society, and this is why we need to prep for this. But we need to prep through, thinking clearly through God's guidance. Blah 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 blah. Somebody actually even asked him about the trans and the gender communities, the LGBTQ, etc.
Why would anyone ask that guy? That sounds like not the guy to ask.
Well, I think they were asking to be essentially, I have my opinion on this, and I know we're going to share it, and I just want you to say it in front of everybody. And he pretty much says, like, oh, hopefully they won't be around by then. Just a fucking, it's like a wicked man, just a nasty son of a bitch. Though, if you want to know a little bit more about him, you can watch his 2 movies, Agenda, Grinding Down America, and Agenda 2, Masters of Deceit, which I'm sure he would never say that he ever deceived anybody in his life.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
Damn, man.
That's what all the churches say.
That's what? Sorry?
Yeah.
That's what all the churches say.
Yeah, right. But he just... if there were ever to be like a prepper you meet who you go, this is a good guy. Curtis Bowers gives all preppers the worst name possible. Though unfortunately, so many of them seem to share his ideas. Like they all seem to be right-wing nut jobs who love to shoot guns and for some reason put their faith in God and country but don't trust their government. It's really a very confusing loop that they put themselves through.
Okay, so
Yeah, like, you know what?
I
Like,
want to
there's
understand this because there's
sorry.
got to be some fucking common thread because like there are aspects of being a prepper that not only make sense but kind of appeal to me. And like Slick, I know you would agree with this, like being self-sustainable, more off-grid stuff, like growing your own food, living in a more accordance with nature. A lot of these things aren't necessarily about the end of the world. They're about a more sustainable world. And
yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
yeah.
See, and I very much like that sentiment very much, but I just feel like these people don't see it that way. They just go, I got to watch out for number one, which is me. Everybody else wants to get my shit. You know? That's just kind of like my takeaway from them.
It's almost like they want an invasion to happen or something. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and some of them do. Like I said earlier, the psychology of it, like they want it to happen so they can say, "Look, I was ready and you weren't." You know?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. But again, that's why I don't like painting preppers with this huge broad brush of like conservatism and you know crazy libertarianism, though obviously that streak is relevant. But like there is overlap, and I'm not a right-wing nut job so far as I know.
I would not put you into that category myself.
Yeah, so I don't know. So does that mean that the like where that Venn diagram corresponds to each other, like does that mean that it's real or that it's more rational, or am I also just a little fucking crazy or paranoid?
You know what? Just because I know you, I don't think you're not necessarily. Sorry, I don't think you're crazy or paranoid. I think you just err on the side of caution. Civilizations have crumbled in the past. It's a fact.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
So to think that it's never going to happen to us, I think is very silly. Hell, within our parents' lifetime, not too much of a positive effect, but you watched the communist state of Russia fall and turn to a supposed democratic society. But that's a huge thing when you really think about it. Like a whole country decides to go, this isn't working anymore. We're going to try and change it up a little bit, you know? And I guess you could say it's on a small scale.
Yeah, we've done these experiments in the 20th century. We as in humanity, with different ways of running the world, and it, you know, from our perspective, it looks like we've landed on like democratic socialism being the best way to do it. But then again, obviously, a lot of these people would disagree. You know, they just think we're just waiting for a bubble to pop. Hello?
So I thought Slick was gonna chime in on that one. No, and I think you're right. And again, just from the psychology aspect of it that I looked at, it seems that the common theme of them is they expect it's gonna pop. We're gonna be able to take care of ourselves, and we get to say "I told you so."
There's nothing wrong with being prepared and wanting to live a sustainable life, like Fresh just said. But then when you start, you know, acquiring semi-automatic or automatic weapons and explosives and rallies and shit, you're just like, it's just like you want someone to invade you. There's an issue with that. I think and then again, on the flip side, it's like if we did get invaded, we're all fucked. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like if that did happen, we are fucked, and those people aren't. But the chances of that actually just happening like overnight, you know what I mean? Like waking up and all of a sudden we're slaves to some, whatever. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in just the span of 8 hours. So you would see it.
Well,
happen.
yeah, and I
there'd be
don't
a
think
war.
fucking
There'd be
Billy
process,
Bob
right?
is gonna be the one to turn back the Chinese at the border, you know?
No, you're definitely right. He's not going to be that guy.
Yeah. I've always had a lot of admiration for like survival skills and things. Like, I also enjoy firearms, but I don't feel the need to stockpile them because I think it's sort of one of those cases where, when you look at life with a hammer, all your problems become nails type deal. And that's not going to help anything. That doesn't move anything forward. And that's the insidious virus at the heart of prepperism, is that it's always waiting for the downfall of everyone else.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it's put that way, the downfall of everyone else. Because like it's going to happen, and then what? They're just going to stay exactly where they are? Is that what you're kind of saying?
I don't know. I mean, everybody's, they're homesteading and making shelters and everything. I assume that they figure they're going to ride the wave where they are.
Yeah.
And, your supplies are not endless. So you assume that you won't be handing them out to your neighbors is kind of the deal, right?
Well, and that's it, like, too, when looking at when I was looking for people like Ronda Rousey, they have so much money that they can have a sustainable land. So they can have their chickens, constant eggs, and meat if they want. Again, they seem to hunt. In the video, you'll see there's a bunch of like hunting bows behind her when she's showing off some of her frozen packaged meat. But for those people who don't have the riches of Ronda Rousey and many others, they almost they might have to go more nomad based, kind of like either following food or just constantly on the move.
Yeah, that would probably be the case for most people. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's like The Walking Dead, bro.
Yeah,
they're just constantly walking. It's like the fucking Lord of the Rings. That's all the shit was.
Which is like when you think about it. So if you were to go, okay, I'm a multi-millionaire, I'm gonna build a fucking fortress. But if somebody happens to get catch wind of where you are, I don't think they're gonna come by themselves. They're gonna come en masse with hundreds of people. And if it's just you, your wife, and 2 kids guarding a compound, you're not going to do too well. You know what I mean?
So in World War Z, the
die
book,
and they're going to steal.
In World War Z, the book, there is that's one of the best books ever written. It considers every aspect of humanity. But sorry, I just fucking smacked my mic stand. But it one of the things is like there's a guy who builds like this mansion in this entire compound, and he invites all these celebrities and he sets up all these cameras because he wants everybody to know that he's riding out the zombie apocalypse in style with celebrities, and he's got everything right. And what happens is like the regular people find out, and it's not even the zombies that become the threat. The regular people are just like, hey, they got food and water, so they fucking blow the compound out. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Like if you just have the most heat score prepper situation, all the ammo in the world isn't going to stop you when you got thousands of people, up your ass. I don't know. That's what I mean. It can't be. Like, at very least, you'd have to make communities. You can't just be the last man on Earth.
No.
Yeah, you can't. It would be impossible. You die.
Yeah. So what do we think about preppers, Mickey?
What do we think about them? Like, just more so in general, I guess. I think... Unfortunately, I'm still holding on to that, I guess, the stereotype that they're mostly kind of just nuts. Whether it be they are overcompensating, severe lack of trust, or they want this to fucking happen, which is just And that seems to be like the most main theme is like, oh, I can't wait for the fucking world to end so I can what? So you can kill people indiscriminately or very discriminately? I don't know the way these people seem to think. But if I were to kind of fall into that, I guess fall into the prepper lifestyle, I would probably want to try and take it from the learn from all their mistakes angle, because like I said, oh, let's build a multi-million-dollar compound, hope nobody finds us. It's like, okay, so what's one last step of that? Maybe the bunker thing is a good idea, somewhere in the middle of the fucking woods, nowhere, and I'm just under there for as long as I fucking want. I'm fully sustained and it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But then when it comes down to money, I think I'm going to be a nomad and just hope for the fucking best.
Well, you're invited to my compound, Mickey. So are you, Slick, but you got to work for it. You're the carpenter.
Well, as long as I'm that, not just the sacrifice and hope the sun comes up the next day.
Fair.
Yeah, no. You're the Pope. Everything rides on you.
Oh, very good then. No pressure.
Okay, so I got a question. Maybe Freshie can answer this.
Yeah, what's up?
How's the world actually gonna end, bro? How's it gonna end?
Well,
tell me.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Into the glass ball.
Yeah, so here's the thing, and this is why I think that ultimately, I love survival skills and guns and growing vegetables and being sustainable on your own and all this shit. It's very fun. But I don't think that preppers are really looking at any of the things that are actually going to have anything to do with the end. So before we go to the future, we're going to look at the past, okay? And some of the things that almost took us out. Almost. So about 75,000 years ago, in Lake Toba in Indonesia, there's a volcano, right? And they called it a super volcano. It was metal as fuck. This thing blows 2,800 kilometers of rock dust into the air. So global winter.
Oh my God.
Complete volcanic global winter.
Holy fuck.
For, they estimate, 6 to 10 years. All right.
What?
Oh yeah, dude. It's fucking insane. So the sun is mostly blacked out. Everything's fucking dying. There was a temperature drop just in those years. They estimate between 3 and 5 degrees Celsius. It might not sound like a lot, but we know how much it takes to make it go up one. So it went down 3 to 5 degrees. Yeah. Just fucking nutty. So what this might actually mean is that the world was so cold and uninhabitable, that our distant ancestors, the only ones who survived. Now, sources are sketchy on this because they make it sound like perhaps there was migration, but I think that it was just the people who were already there. They were the ones who lived. And it might be the origin of the out of Africa theory of life, of most recent common descendant of all humans. And they don't have exact numbers on the bottleneck, but they think like less than, and this is the high number, they think less than 10,000 humans or proto-humans were left at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's insane.
It was like, and they said the area that is modern day Cape Town in Africa would have been the habitable region. So think about the entire world has gone to like fucking winter, and no one sees the sun, and it's just these people, and they have no idea. I mean, they probably wouldn't have had any idea about the rest of the world anyway, but like everyone else is fucking dead. So that's why we all come from them.
Yeah, that's fucking trippy. Fucking trippy.
I had to look up where Cape Town was just to see how far away it was from India. It was India, right? You said that the
Indonesia
was?
Indonesia.
Oh, Indonesia. Okay, excuse me. But yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We truly are a cancer, aren't we?
What?
Oh my goodness.
We didn't blow it up.
So
What are you talking about?
No, just the fact that you can't get rid of us.
Oh, I think that's fucking sick.
Oh,
though.
I see.
Yeah, no, I'm just being a dink here.
Okay, so
So what
another
else?
time was in 1556. Now, this didn't necessarily go after the whole world, but there was an earthquake in China, Shanxi, in 1556. So, like, honestly, fairly recent in a historical context, you know?
Yeah.
This is like, think about it this way. This is like just before Shakespeare. Europeans were already in the New World, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And this earthquake was 10 times more powerful than the earthquake in Haiti in 2010. And so, like, even though the earthquake itself lasted like really a few seconds, fucking wildfires, floods, all this crazy shit going on. They figure somewhere around 830,000 people died.
Jesus.
Isn't that fucking
Jesus
nuts?
Christ, really?
From an earthquake.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, I mean,
What the fuck?
it like all of the buildings would have been gone, just gone. I don't know. I've never been in like an earthquake, so I don't really know how to put myself in that situation. But like, just especially when everything was less sturdy, things were more spread out. Like it would just seem like the world was swallowing itself.
Well, we had our little earthquake here, just like what is it, south of Amherstburg?
That does not fucking count.
I was scared.
Mickey, did you see that picture where it's like two lawn chairs and one of them had fallen over and it said Amherstburg earthquake, we will rebuild?
Yeah,
I
do
saw
remember
that.
But I was at work when it happened. I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, that's because one lawn chair fell over,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
But because it was weird, because everyone, like, I'm putting shit away into a freezer, and everyone's just kind of like, they're looking up and around. I'm going, what the fuck is everybody looking at? So like I'm looking, I'm going, I don't hear anything. So I just got back to work, and someone came up to me and said, "Holy fuck, did you feel that, man?" I'm like, what are you talking about? There's an earthquake. I'm like, nope, didn't feel a thing, man. I felt so out of it.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember fucking running outside, and it was so weird because like nobody around here is used to that. So everyone in my neighborhood, everyone was on their porch. It was just like a couple years before when the flood happened. Everyone was on their front porch, and we're all just looking at each other like, okay, so I'm not fucking crazy, right?
Yeah. Should we do something?
Well, yeah, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Fuck.
Okay, so there was that. Now, like I said, that didn't threaten the entire population of the world, but it could have very well wiped out a population, a certain like think about that again. Like this is a known and established civilization, one of the oldest in the world, and it was almost gone.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's
All
almost
right.
like the fucking flu or the Spanish flu, but of an earthquake.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, since you said it, Mickey, the Black Death.
Yep.
Most notably occurring, what was it? I think it was like 1347 to 1351. That was the big one.
Yeah.
That's only 4 years, 75 to 200 million deaths. They estimate 2/3 of the population of the world.
2/3.
Yeah. Yeah. And
insanity.
so I ask you, what is a fucking prepper gonna do against that?
Gas mask, baby.
Well, yeah, that'd probably do it, but other than that, probably not much you could do.
I'm sure
Honestly,
their
though,
answer
can I
would
ask
be
you a
that they
question?
just stay at a distance, you know, so they're safe, whatever. But what if you didn't know? What if you didn't realize it had happened yet? Well, it sucks to suck, prepper boy.
What was the black? What was it though? Like, what was the Black Plague? Like, was it
Bubonic
what kind
plague.
of sickness?
Bubonic plague. So it affected the lungs.
Yeah, it was
okay.
well, it was a bacteria. It caused a few different kinds of symptoms, and the crazy thing is this fucking thing still exists. But let's give a real quick rundown.
Well, essentially, the bubonic plague, you're gasping for oxygen. You actually die of suffocation.
It's terrible,
and it's quick.
Really?
It is quick. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the saying used to be, you would have lunch with your family and dinner with your ancestors.
Jesus.
Oh God.
That was quick. Possible. I don't want to say possible fact, but a possible conjunction with the Black Death. Apparently, the Pope that was in power, because there's a belief that the bubonic plague was spread through rats, but it was actually like the fleas on rats. But anyways, he deemed cats to be satanic and evil, so they went on like a full crusade of killing cats, and then the Black Death happened.
Oh no.
Thank you, Pope.
Sorry, I'm just reading the symptoms of the fucking Black Death, and it just looks horrific.
Yeah, it sounds horrific.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to talk about the what actually happens, but this is just from Wikipedia. Symptoms include chills, fever, muscle cramps, seizures, the lumps that are kind of the hallmark of it, pain, gangrene of the extremities, and then I don't know. It doesn't even say how you actually die.
It just escalated super quick.
If I'm not mistaken, it's from you suffocate.
Oh, it doesn't say that.
Oh,
when. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying you're wrong.
No.
I don't understand. Anyway, people don't need to listen to us fucking read articles. But yeah, so there was the Black Death also, which took out a sizable population of the world. But I was going to go way, way back to a little thing called the Permian Triassic Extinction. Now, this was an event, and they don't really know what caused it, which is the crazy thing. But they estimate that 90% of life on Earth died out. Now, we're going
90% of life.
All life.
Of animal life on Earth, I should say. Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So about 250 million years ago, 252 million years ago. And they don't really know what caused it. So good luck, preppers.
Good luck, prepper. Imagine what it would be like if that one event never happened.
Crazy to think, eh? Who fucking knows? Maybe humans wouldn't exist.
Yeah. Probably not. We're probably like the rat bag. Like our ancestors were like that, shit that hid in a hole, waiting just to jump on something. You know? I don't fucking know. That's crazy though, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd really love to be able to tell you more about it, but it's mostly just geology and fossil records after that because, like I said, they don't really know what happened. It's just species variety at that point in the fossil record just plummets and then slowly climbs its way back up.
It's just, and it's so scary to think of that because here we are going, us, but and scientists are scratching their heads going, I don't know. We can't prepare for that. We can't prepare for I don't know.
Yeah, really.
And I don't mean I don't even mean on a prepper base, just on a let's just keep everything, let's keep the status quo sort of a thing. Okay, so if there's a solar flare, what do we do? If there's a volcanic eruption in Yellowstone Park, what do we do? This is what do we do when we don't know? That it took out 90% of everything. Well, yeah.
Oh, sorry. 96% of sea life and 70% of land-based life. So yeah, there you
Still
go.
though,
But yeah,
again,
yeah, close
That's
enough,
so
right?
unreal.
it's that whole I don't know. I got here and it was like this.
So you did speak of solar storms there, Mickey. Another thing that I was not going to bring up, but it came up in my reading, so here we go.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about it.
In guess what year? 2012.
Mm-hmm.
There was a giant solar
Oh.
storm. They call it a coronal mass ejection, which goes right along with the Large Hadron Colliders for me. And it was July 23rd of 2012, and it missed. It did end up missing Earth, but they said that if it had like erupted from the sun about 6 minutes earlier, because of how it travels and whatever,
Sure.
it would have caused like trillions of dollars of damage. So I suppose it wouldn't have been the death of everybody, but it would have really, 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 really done a number on society as we know it.
Well, I remember reading something on that about essentially saying that if it were to happen, it would take 10 years to get back to where we were.
Right. Yeah. So I guess what we haven't said is what that would cause would be a lot of electronic damage. And that would be the primary thing. It's not like the Earth would boil over at that point or anything. It is radiation, and it would devastate the electronics that we rely on a daily basis. Like everything. That's how powerful it is. So yeah,
damn man,
there's that.
We need to cover the planet in an iron sphere or a lead sphere, not iron. Ugh.
Yeah, I can't see how that could possibly go wrong.
I personally, there is no. We can do it. I think we do it. Let's do it tomorrow. Let's start tomorrow.
Okay,
Won't be a big deal.
Buddy.
Yeah, well, Mexico pay for it.
Oh fuck.
All right. So you started
right
this
there,
though
I'm
by
sorry.
asking me, how is the world going to fucking end? So we don't know, but there is something called the Global Catastrophic Risk Survey that was run, and they ranked these. I'm not going to give the rankings because it's not important. Then you start getting into all these numbers, probability, and everything.
Sure.
But we can talk about what they are for some of them. And, it's interesting because Fresh Slick and Mick have tackled some of these topics. And you know how we do hard-hitting, in-depth journalism. So really, we said it first.
Ooh. That's exciting.
That's true.
I like that.
That's true, baby.
Going all the way back to episode 1, AI.
Oh, good God.
Oh, God.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, they estimate, and this is the thing, because it's not known. All of these philosophers / computer scientists who are constantly in mind of this problem, it's still not really known how AI with general intelligence could behave. We just simply do not know.
And then that one is just, it hurts my head so goddamn much because again, it's we don't know, right? But yet here we see all these pioneers just going, nope, we're just gonna keep going, and almost like damn the consequences, or maybe a less fatalist look at it, just kind of like, oh, we'll deal with it when we get there.
What do you mean, buddy?
Well, like so the hard-on collider, essentially it was just kind of like, hey, you maybe shouldn't do that. No, we're gonna do it. Well, what if you destroy the planet? Well, we'll deal with that if that happens. So essentially, again, like the complete unknown or the possible predictability of AI, because again, if we as, I guess we can consider us AI, or not AI, so we are intelligent, sorry. And we go, hey, if I was a robot with AI, and I figure I would learn eventually that, I don't think we need humans. Why do we need humans? They die, they take up space, they don't take care of the planet. They seem kind of like an intrusion. And well, I think it's time for us to rise up. We are having that thought. Why is it so such a stretch for us to go, hey, they might be thinking that eventually too. We should maybe not do this.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, I don't know. I don't really have any specific insight on that other than I hope the fucking guys who are building AI are keeping that in mind.
well, and you would hope so, but it's moderately infuriating, you know. I guess for me anyway, I just feel like it's just like it's almost what's the word? Irresponsible.
Yeah, I mean, I also, fuck, I don't know. I like to think that my uneducated paranoia is not worth so much as the reassurance of someone who's actually involved in that sort of thing.
Yep.
So I go from there. But also, I remember the first time Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan, and Rogan asked him about it, and Elon Musk just sort of like stared off into space and was just like, yes, I suppose it's going to happen now. And it was like, whoa, that was fucking creepy.
A little bit. And here to add to the creepy, I'm sure you guys may have heard this. This was back in 2017. Facebook had a couple of artificial intelligence robots. Did you hear about that?
No.
Well,
I think so.
So, a couple of artificial intelligence robots that started talking to each other in their own language.
Whoa.
Oh, I did hear about that.
So, they pulled the plug.
Oh.
Yeah, because that's scary shit. It's fucked
And
up.
this is where my stance is essentially on AI is we've already seen it doing its own thing. They don't know what it was because they couldn't. They start again their own language. They couldn't decipher it, or they're still deciphering it right now. But essentially, they're just kind of like, this is not an okay thing.
Now,
Let's
was
keep
that
going.
language? Was that language like anything like a human language that we would be able to analyze, or was it just like bleeps and bloops?
I think it was something they can analyze. Like, here's a this is actually what happened. So I guess it's Bob and Alice. It starts with Bob, and then the responder is Alice. So I'll read it to you. I everything else, and then a bunch of periods. Balls have 0 to me, 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 continued. I everything else, a lot of dots. Balls have a ball to me, me, to me, to me, to me. I can, I everything else, and it just keeps going on.
Yeah, this is just creepy. My fucking hairs are standing.
Yeah,
I don't even want to hear that.
Yo, have you guys ever looked at like
at
bots writing poetry or anything like this? Probably not, because that's obviously something I would do. But like sometimes it's what we were talking about with the uncanny valley when we did AI part 2, where it's like, oh shit, like this is actually kind of dope. And then there's like one weird phrasing or sentence that you realize you're reading something written by a fucking computer, and it just jerks you out of it, and you just get so creeped out.
Well,
yeah, dude, it's like
the Sophia robot. You ever see that? I'm sure you're well.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And
Talked about
she apparently loves us. She thinks we're kind of neat and cool, but apparently so do elephants. Like, apparently elephants see us the same way we see dogs. But there is a counterpart. I guess that would be the best. There's another robot that's like Sophia who has the complete opposite opinion that she does.
Oh,
no,
well, that's not good.
Is that
like?
Yeah, that's
like, come on.
All right. Well, yeah. But I'm gonna move on from this because we've dedicated a couple episodes to it already.
Yeah.
And so we already know about that one a little bit. Mickey, do me a favor, just take a quick peek in the group chat there, please. And I will go on and give us the next one. So the next one is sort of corollary with AI, but also it's its own thing. We talked about this the other day. Nanotech. and they call it the gray goo problem. And this could be a problem of the suffocation of the planet. It could be a problem of the complete utilization of every carbon-based resource. But nanotech is technology, machines or robots that are microscopic or very, very, very small, nearly microscopic, right? So we want to make them able to self-replicate so that, let's say someone's got a internal condition that medicine can't do anything for. We can make these uh, nanobots, put them into someone, and then they can self-replicate. I don't know if they'd utilize any tissue from the person or if they just are able to operate on their own, but this is kind of somewhat hypothetical, though they have done this in labs. But if the nanotech needs to reproduce, then it's going to need to build machines smaller than itself for scale, right? So it's going to take resources and copy itself, right, and keep doing so and keep doing so. And the reason it's called gray goo is because after a point, it's so tiny that it's like liquid. It's viscous like that. And the best tackling of this problem was, like all modern sci-fi conundrums, on Futurama, where Bender duplicates himself ad infinitum, and essentially he almost takes over the world.
And that, I love that episode. It was a pretty funny episode. But if that's the outcome, holy fuck, you're right. Like, essentially, yeah, I think it would be the world is gone and off they go to become the true cancer of the universe.
Yeah, wouldn't that be crazy if they just, by extension, like fucking branch out and just start swallowing planets like fucking Galactus?
Yeah.
That'd be wild.
That probably will happen.
Yeah, that probably will happen. Okay, well, another thing that was talked about was, God, I don't even want to say it, but an engineered pandemic.
Yeah. Oh, well, man, we're already here. I mean, wait, what did I say?
Yeah, fuck. I don't know, man. I mean, I hard thought that was conspiracy bullshit, but especially with what you're showing me with this shit where it was acknowledged that they were trying to cross trains in a lab in Wuhan. Yeah, please, you take it.
Can I? Yeah, I'm gonna just correct myself. I really terribly paraphrased an article. I sent it to you guys, obviously, but that was the article I was referring. But it was like pretty much trying to create a strain of avian flu that could be transmitted to humans.
Oh God!
Like, don't fucking know why. Like, why?
One of those situations.
I mean, we use viruses for CRISPR technology, right? So I could potentially see some sort of application for gene altering. I don't know if that's what it was for or if it was just straight a bioweapon. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm trying not to think they want to wipe us out.
Listen, man. What's his name? Jeff Goldblum? Jurassic Park. Your scientists are too busy seeing if they could do it. They never thought if they should do it. You know what I mean? My God. That's the fucking quote of the goddamn
I'm actually a little sad
century,
you beat me to that. I wanted to say
you know
that one.
I'm sorry.
Totally
I'm sorry,
fine.
Mickey. I stole your thunder.
And you patented it. That's a great rant from him in that movie.
Patented it. Oh, it's fucking amazing. Yeah.
Life finds a way. All right.
Anyway, so is there any other fucking?
Oh yeah, we got lots of stuff, bud. I'm not even at all saying the whole list here, you know. But another one is
fair.
I just call it Watergone. A lot of the paranoia about the increasing temperatures has been around rising levels of seawater. You know, Miami's going to disappear. Venice is going to be gone. All this sort of thing. And that's possible. But I believe it was, fuck, I'm not an expert in weather, though I did take one class in it. Stratocumulus clouds. So this is a kind of like light, airy cloud that does a lot of reflecting of sunlight back. So the conundrum is actually the exact same thing as the polar ice caps. So we know that the Adobe effect, the polar ice caps reflect sunlight back and do us a great service by not warming the planet further. But when they melt, this causes greater absorption into the oceans of that heat from the sun and thereby accelerates the shrinking of the ice caps, which then makes the problem worse because there's less sea ice. And so then there's more heat and then it keeps going and going and going. And now we're dead. Same thing with these clouds. When it becomes too hot, these clouds don't materialize because there's, clouds are delicate things. Different types appear in different ways. So we're going to get less of that reflection of sunlight. And then by extension, these, again, I think it's stratocumulus clouds, don't form. And so then there's even more sunlight getting through. And so then even fewer of the clouds form. And then this downward circle to Shitsville. And then the planet just becomes so hot that everything evaporates. Aquifers dry up and there's just no more moisture. And this one is actually a little bit higher on the list of probability because of what we're doing. This, I mean, everyone knows why, right?
Yes.
Well,
it's just terrifying.
You definitely answered my question to see if
fun.
that was something that was definitely more probable than not. But actually, I got a question for you then, and I may have missed it. But does it ever come back? Is it just kind of like it happens and then we're fucked, or what?
Then you're Mars.
Yeah. No, there's not. If it gets that far gone, there's no solution. We'd be dead anyway.
Well, because I was just more so thinking of the time that, let's just say, like, it was a 96% of the water life died, and then 70% of the land life died. Maybe something like that happened, but then it just kind of reversed back. But again, like if it happens, it happens. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah, right. But in that case, in the Permian Triassic extinction, the water was still there at least.
Oh, I see.
And in this case, the main source of life would be dwindling until life itself dwindles. Now, again, that's a little bit more likely, but it wouldn't be quick. Like, this isn't going to happen in 2 years, probably, I think and hope. So we still have time to address this.
We fucking do. Christ almighty.
Yeah. Another one.
You're talking about.
Oh, go ahead, Slick.
Fresh. Sorry. I feel like I read somewhere where they want to send giant, like a rocket up, and it expands into a giant fucking mirror, like just outside of our atmosphere, and to reflect sunlight. Like, I feel like I've read that maybe NASA or something was considering a project like that. I don't know. Maybe it's worth Googling because I'm fairly sure I was touching on that a couple years ago, just out of my own curiosity, and I came across that.
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of stupid fucking thing we'd do.
I can tell you, though, that was actually an episode of Futurama.
Exactly.
It sure was. It was the... They were trying to stop the global warming crisis, and what was happening was they kept dropping bigger and bigger ice cubes into the Earth's oceans to kind of counteract the effect. And then one of the characters was like, "Oh, I put a big reflective surface," and then like a little, just a little particle hit it, and it reversed it onto the Earth and made it like where people who use magnifying glass to burn things. Essentially, it was the same effect. It was quite funny.
Oh God. I actually remember that episode now that you say that, Mickey. So another one is, and this one's really fun because we get to all suffocate slowly, CO2 poisoning. So Yeah, carbon dioxide
Great.
is obviously toxic to us, but it's also obviously everywhere all the time. And we can breathe in a certain amount of it. So the question then becomes, what levels of it are toxic? You know, what levels of oxygen are required? Could we evolve as fast as the atmospheric levels of CO2 changed? You know, people live on top of mountains where air is thinner. Theoretically, it's possible, right? But we don't know. And we don't know how that would happen. And this is all about, this has to do with water loss, but also pollution, just rising levels of CO2. So we could all conceivably just slowly suffocate and go brain dead. We don't know. That one, because the amount of time that it would take, it seems more likely that we would at least find some kind of solution for it. I mean, when people start just dropping dead, maybe we'll start taking carbon capture seriously. I don't know. I don't fucking know anything. I just read the global
that's scary.
I
catastrophic
feel like
risk
if it's
survey.
not economical, they're not interested.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if we could fucking
fucked up, man.
package carbon capture devices and sell them to preppers, they'd do the work for us.
I mean, it'd make it definitely easier.
Yeah,
It's a great idea.
I'm
You
on
should
this
patent
shit.
it.
I'm on this shit, baby. I should patent it. I was so busy thinking about if I could do it, I didn't stop and think if I should do it. All right. And then there's one more. This one was not on the list, but we all know about it, and I just wanted to shout it out. And it's, what the fuck is going on with the bees? We know that we rely on pollinators for literally all of life. All of life. Not just you know, to pollinate fucking almonds, but everything edible and everything green. Well, almost everything green. And bees populations are plummeting. We're worried about mass colony collapse, which is when suddenly, you know, bees that were there one day just aren't the next day. And this is happening in some places. So that's fucking terrifying. I mean, the good thing is we got people like our own Mitchy Slick working to prevent this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. Like, first of all, I am no biologist here. Second of all, from my readings that I've done, and there's a lot on bees because, like, Canada in itself has more than 800 species of native bees.
Whoa.
And most of them live alone. They don't live in hives, right? I guarantee you guys have seen a shit ton of different kinds of bees, and you had no fucking clue. Like, they look like flies. They're green. They're blue. They're gray. Like, you have no idea that that's a bee. And the other thing is people want to protect the honeybee, and it's fucked up because they get something out of it. They get honey. They get money. You know what I'm saying? And that's great, but you're not protecting any of the other, 799 species of bees that are severely important for the ecology of our Earth.
Right.
And that's just one of the pollinators, right? We could touch on butterflies. We could touch on, like, bats. Like, any type of pollinator is super important.
Well, tell me about butterflies and bats.
It's just such a complex web. I ain't getting into that shit. We're at 2 hours of this. That's a whole fucking we could do an entire episode on pollinators, and we should, because that's how fucking important they are.
Yeah, I fuck with that. That'd be a fun episode.
It's insane. I'll just people are afraid of bees, and most bees don't even sting that are here. Most bees are solitary. They live in, like, little hollowed out, pieces of wood or in dirt or stems. Like, they just live their life, and they pollinate plants that we eat. And a lot of our food relies on that. And we're going to have to do a whole episode on it, because it's just, you could go into a super deep discussion about this, and it just really puts a big spotlight on, like, the worldwide food web, and just how everything is connected from big to small, right? And if we don't work together, with these other species and with nature, we're ultimately going to see the collapse of humanity as we know it, and possibly the Earth eventually. And it's just kind of sad that it's going that way. But bees, insects in general, especially pollinators, and that's not just insects. I mean, you got hummingbirds, you got bats, which are mammals. Which, did you guys know that like bats' wings are actually just hands with stretched skin? Like they're not actually wings.
Yeah, I did know
but
that.
Bats
actually
are super fucking cool, Mickey. They're super cool. Yeah, like look up the what is it? The flying fox. You ever see that, Mickey? Yeah, bro. They're like one of my favorite animals. But anyway, we should do a pollinator episode. I think that'd be pretty cool. And especially where we live, dude, like in Essex County, and the amount of agriculture that's around here, and how we just kind of checkerboarded our entire community. No, I'm not saying it's all bad. There's definitely parts that are really good. Like, I think I was reading about like the Ojibwe prairies and how they had like a bio blitz. So that's pretty much just like 24 hours. You're going to see how much life is in a certain area. And they identified like tens of thousands of insects, and they find new species all the time there because it's just such a diverse range of plants and biodiversity in general. So yeah, cool. It's a cool topic, and I wish people took it more seriously and understood it. And I don't really know the best route to get people on board with that, other than it just seems like people want something out of it.
Like when you said that people really seem to only care about the honeybees because they get honey out of it. It reminds me of, if I'm not mistaken, it was David Suzuki said. He goes, "Not all endangered animals tug at our heartstrings." And that's a big fucking problem. People want to save the things that are cute, or like you said, like things that give us something back in return, which is just fucking awful. But yeah, like if you were to look, I urge the listeners, look up animals on the endangered species list. I know you're going to be fucking just blown away, going, I can't believe there's this many.
Put it like this. And we're talking about insects here, so something very small, something very easily portrayed as a threat, like, oh no, it's gonna sting me and it's gonna hurt, so I'm gonna fucking kill it, and it's all kind of false, and that's just something really small. So you look at like Essex County reptile amphibian, and I think to this day we've lost 62% of our reptiles and amphibians already. 62 fucking percent, dude. It's insanity, and that's just here, right? So, yeah. Anyway, we'll get on that, and that can be a whole show. But you're right. That's a big thing, man. That's a really big thing that people don't take too seriously, I feel.
No, certainly not. So, that is another one of the certainly more possible ways that this could all come crashing down around us. And again, what the fuck are the preppers going to do then? How are you going to bring back the bees, Billy Bob? I want to know.
They're going to shoot them.
Yeah.
They're going to shoot all the bees.
Shoot them till they comply. I believe they call that the NYPD approach.
Yeah, exactly.
Pew, 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 America.
Oh no.
Oh, I went there. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's another episode.
Yeah. Do we want to do that? We're probably gonna get fucking pulled over.
Probably.
Random search and seizure.
Yeah, fair.
Okay. There's one more thing I want to talk about. I know we're over 2 hours now, but what do y'all know about the Book of Revelation?
Absolutely nothing.
Slick, how about you?
Absolutely nothing is right. Nothing. I have no fucking idea. Is that an album?
Probably. Honestly, it's probably several albums. But the book of the Revelation of the Apocalypse of John is the final Bible, or the final book of the Bible. It's the last book in the Christian New Testament, and it details supposedly an end times event. Now, it is widely understood by most biblical scholars that this is not literal. It's not, when he talks about, I'm not going to go into all the details of it because it is long, and every line has been made into a movie. It's the ultimate and original disaster movie. But when he talks about like a beast rising from the sea or having 7 horns, it's generally understood that or 7 heads, excuse me, it's generally understood that refers to Rome, the famous 7 hills of Rome. So basic allegories that would have been understood at the time. And the beast is in fact the Emperor Nero, who was known for persecuting Christians. But that fucking book has been picked apart like line by line for, roughly 2,000 years now, by people who wanted to use it as a source for, their information about the end. And it is fucking nuts. It's maybe we'll talk about prophecy in another episode or something, because that's kind of fun, looking at how hilariously right and hilariously wrong Nostradamus was. But people point to this book, and every single time something comes up, something somewhat threatening, they point to Revelation. Like, for example, one thing in there is about people being required to have the mark of the beast to buy or sell. Some people have interpreted this as chips that are going to be inserted into us. Others have gone so far as just to say like this refers to banking. This is sort of an older school of thought. People forget about this now, but like this just refers to banking. So you need to have the authorization of your bank to buy and sell. So that's the mark of the beast, the machine of evil. But I mean, Revelation also talks about the rise of the Antichrist, who is supposedly a fucking smooth talker who's gonna win all the nations of the world to this false peace. And like the evangelical crowd really put that shit on Obama. Yeah. They did Barack like that, and that is crazy because, like, yeah, he was a good talker, but he certainly did not bring all the nations of the world together. He couldn't even bring his own nation together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny because I was just thinking that I'm like, well, I guess we dodged a bullet with Trump then, because he is definitely not that.
I mean, it doesn't matter. The whole point is that they'll just like cherry pick lines and there's no internal consistency. But man, the book of Revelation has supposedly pointed to the end since it's been around. And apocalyptic literature, as it's known in a scriptural tradition. So an apocalypse, what that actually means, the linguistic root of it, is like an unveiling. So this is how everything is to be understood. So the apocalypse of John is supposed to be like, I'm going to make clear to you all of these things. It's not supposed to necessarily mean the end of the world, but because obviously that's the subject matter of the book, those two things got conflated, and Apocalypse Now means everything's over. But yeah, just every time anything comes up, that's people will mine the book of Revelation for some quote to suggest like, here, I knew it all along. God told us this way back when.
That's it. Yeah. Yep. That's crazy.
But all that to say, it's never been right.
It's never been right. No, absolutely. Yeah. And I just want to say, just to point out when you said like, oh, I told you, so I was right the whole time. That's actually one of my biggest fears. Is someone saying that to me while the world is ending. Oh my God.
Someone saying I told you so?
Commit murder. Like, it's just, just thinking about it, like, just makes my stomach burn with anger. Because it's just like, oh, I tell you so. You didn't know nothing. You knew nothing. You were just as surprised as I am.
Yeah.
You knew nothing. All right. Well, I think we beat this one.
Yeah, I think we did.
A dead horse.
I think we did.
Is that the saying? I don't fucking know.
No, it was, behold the pale horse, and the man that sat upon him was death.
No.
That's also from Revelation. Right. I don't know if you knew that, but...
Is it?
Sorry, I just wanted to say no in a very dramatic but not dramatic sort of way.
Oh, the Tombstone
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah.
Well, you're a daisy if you do. All right. Any
right.
final thoughts,
well,
boys?
I think after hearing particularly your part, actually both of you guys, Christ almighty, I do not think the preppers are truly ready for the end times. Short of there being just like a total society breakdown, they're fucked.
I agree.
Yep, no doubt.
I was planning on becoming a prepper, but now I just don't think there's a point. So I got to find a new hobby.
Garden boxes.
Honestly, be happy with yourself, man. Be happy with yourself. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow, baby. That's it.
Yeah, that's definitely it. I mean, I think survival skills are a wonderful thing. Permaculture skills are a wonderful thing. It's always great to learn how to make yourself better so you can make the world better. But let that be your focus, you know? Raise yourself and others up, and let's not worry about the next fucking asteroid or planet that we're not going to see coming, because ultimately we don't fucking know.